my son's best friend was smoking weed. I got my son's cell phone, and I had video that they were sending each other smoking weed on a bomb. So this probably. So anyway, go ahead and explain it to me.
And I don't know.
And I hope it's I hope that there's no contact order and they'll keep their kid away from my 15-year-old son. That's what I hope. Unbelievable. And I'm so sick of him.
This is from Carla Gannon.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who that is.
She's a patent attorney, which means that when people invent something. So when I caught my son smoking weed Friday night, he said he got it from her son, who is 14, and they've been smoking together for at least a year. So I went to the Oak Island Police Department. I didn't realize no one was there at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. Did the little buzzer, 911, sent the cops to me, be there, explain the situation. And they said, well, since my son is 15, that I could decide what to do since he was underage. And I said, I want you to come to the house and scare the hell out of him. So 2 nice police officers came. They talked to him. And I told them, they got the same story, that the kid, her son, was the one that had gotten him the weed, and they're always over at his house smoking the weed, not here. And I said, well, they're just a couple of blocks behind the house. You need to go and talk to them because their son is the one that supplied the weed. Well, when the cops went over there to talk to them, they wouldn't even come to the door because she is an attorney and she has a DWI. So 2 years ago, when she lost her license, she didn't do a breathalyzer test because she knows how to bend the rules because she's an attorney and the rules don't apply to her. So they wouldn't even come to the door to get an explanation of why the cops were there because they knew why the cops were there. Their son had been supplying the weed. And so this is where it all stems from. So I went to the courthouse and said that I would be filing a restraining order, but I was told that since it wasn't stalking, it wasn't sexual assault, it wasn't domestic violence, that I could not file a restraining order against she and her son. And so this is what she does instead, because she's a lawyer. So, is it equivalent? Well, it's awful. I mean, they're just horrible people because they've got money and their kid has been smoking for years, got my kid into smoking, but it's my fault and my kid's fault because they want to stick, and I'm so sick and I know I look like that.
Thank you.
So they've had their heads stuck in the sand for years. My kid's been going over there smoking, or maybe they knew because she and I used to be friends. She talked about how they smoked and she talked about when I shouldn't worry, but she needed to let me know that when my son was over there, wasn't any supervision. They really just let the kids come and go and run around as they please. And she was open and honest about having no supervision because she drinks and hangs out with my ex-husband, who also just got a DWI and is a convicted felon. He was convicted, spent a week in jail in April, and has lost his license for 4 years. And they're all best friends, so they've got DWIs that they can compare. And I'm friggin' on the same one in the bunch. I'm the only one that hasn't gotten any kind of legal issues against.
How old are the children that are besides your 15?
And really, y'all should, the cops that came Friday night, and they got the same story from my son before. I told them, what I thought had happened. They took him in there privately, got the same story from him. And they said that they would be watching the house because they know now that at least weed is coming and going out of the house. This is her way of retaliating. What a bitch, because she's a lawyer and she can do it. So I would love a no contact order. I haven't had any contact with them in 2 or 3 years until Friday night when I said cops need to go over there and talk to their son. I want nothing to do with this family. I wanted a restraining order to keep their son away from my son. So what's the difference between a no contact order and me not being able to file a restraining order, which I tried to do Monday morning?
Well, she's claiming there was unwanted contact.
In what fashion?
One little bit that I read, there was.
This bitch is a psycho.
And this is
Shut up, you dumb retard.
Unbelievable.
This is your copy to keep, so you'll know everything to read and everything.
Yeah.
But basically,
Great. I would love to stand up in court and say I don't want any contact with him, nothing to do with it, and hopefully vice versa, since her son was the one that supplied the weed.
She's stating that there has been one or more occasion where you have followed her, or otherwise tormented, terrorized, or terrified the plaintiff. Most recently texted, from defendant to John Hawksby.
That's my ex-husband, who
Okay.
is a convicted felon as of April, and they hang out together and they compare their DWIs. Great, I love explaining this to a judge. Yeah, because I texted him saying, keep her and her son away from our son. Because he has custody every other weekend, but he's busy with his girlfriend, so he was constantly dumping them on him. And then when I found the weed and I knew where it came from, I didn't have her number. I have not had her number. I have had no way to contact her, so I sent it, yeah, that text, and you're welcome to him, I'll take him to court with me. I told the ex, I said, get word to her. We are not to have any contact. You get word to her to keep her son away from Rye. He has been supplying weed to Rye. Probably, he's a year younger. Her son is a year younger. And so the only way I could get word to her was through him, because they're best buds.
Right.
Oh, they're all.
Where is Rye anyways? I was kind of
Oh,
wondering.
he's with his dad tonight because he
No.
pitched a fit, and I didn't want to have to call the cops again tonight.
All right.
Well, I'm not gonna sit here and read all this, and like I said, this is your copy to read. Says,
And why did you deliver it tonight so late?
well,
When I was already in bed.
I apologize for
It's
that. I tried to get her earlier, but we had a few calls. We had to get called.
What, probably your son out smoking weed with somebody is what you should be following up on.
Well, I hope my son's not out smoking weed.
If he knows her son, he's a supplier for the whole island, according to what I found out since Friday night. And I can't, does that mean I can take that videotape on my son's cell phone of her son smoking a bong to court with me and show the judge?
I don't see why not.
Perfect, that will settle all this.
Well, it's been signed by Judge Ushery. It's ordered that you defendant and being named the defendant in this.
Mhm.
And you shall not visit, assault, molest, or otherwise interfere with the plaintiff. You, the defendant, shall cease stalking the plaintiff.
I've done none of those things.
That you, the defendant, shall cease harassment of the plaintiff. That you, the defendant, shall not abuse or injure the plaintiff. That you, the defendant, shall not contact the plaintiff by telephone, written communication, or electronic means, email, text.
I have no means to do that to her.
Facebook.
I did it through my ex-husband,
Okay.
who needs to be charged with neglect and child endangerment for putting our son over there, because he always, every other weekend, he's with his girlfriend, and so they've been my son's guardian every other weekend for a couple of years now, and that's probably how long the weed's been smoked over there. House.
And then, they use the defendant shall enter or remain present at plaintiff's residence, school, place of employment, any other places listed below, which are other places listed below, anytime when the plaintiff is present.
Does that apply to them too?
There's a difference. There's a
Can
difference.
I go do that? Because
You
her
can go
son
take
was
that
the
one.
one, her son was the one coming over here and getting Rye, and Rye said, I don't know how they weren't caught, because Friday night when I came home and opened his bedroom door, it just knocked me down. I knew immediately. I'd never smelled it or suspected it before. If they had been smoking that together, and they've been doing that for 2 years at their house, this is the first time, because I haven't liked this woman for 2 years, because she's best friends with my ex and they drink together, and I know that the kids are neglected, but I've had no control over it. Until now, and I could charge the ex with child endangerment.
And you know you can always report.
Yes, and I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that because our son is actually an AB student. He's a soccer star. He has potential to win a soccer scholarship to college. He's that good. And I didn't want to do this, but, this is absolutely insane. This is a woman who, because she's an attorney, and doesn't want to admit guilt, that her perfect little family has a son who's been a stoner probably since he was 10 or 12. This is beyond ridiculous. So when do I have to show up to court?
The court date is the 16th, be next week.
Okay, what day is that on? Right now. And what will that?
Today's the
entail?
9th,
And what will
so-
that entail?
probably wouldn't
It's next Wednesday.
Okay.
It'll be at 9:30, and what you do is you have the opportunity to explain to the judge what everything has occurred. And they'll decide whether to drop or continue this.
Oh, I want to continue it.
Yes, ma'am.
I want want nothing to do with them, nothing. I had not seen her, spoken to her, had anything to do with her for 2 years until Friday night when I found the stash. I drove over there to their house. I pulled up in the driveway and I got out and I said, "This is Bry's stash that I found that he said he got from Lynn." She's screaming from the porch, "You're on private property, get out of here, I'm gonna call the police." And so I left there and I went to the police. And I explained the situation. And she probably got pissed off because I took the gun and I went straight to the police because she was threatening me with the police. She did not call the police. That's the first time I've been over there. It's been at least 2 or 3 years. I don't want anything to do with this family. They drink and they smoke, and her kid has been, well, you want to see the videotape on my son's phone? I'll take it to court with me because I can't tell if it's her son or one of the other buddies because it's kind of a dark video. But I I don't get DWIs. I don't smoke. I work 2 different jobs. I'm really the only adult and the only parent in the situation. I want nothing to do with them. And if I had known, I could have done this on Monday morning. But because she's an attorney, I guess she would know. But I tried to file some kind of restraining order so that her son would not show up over here looking for my son.
Right. Well, you started out right if you went and saw Charles Newton.
I did. I talked to him Monday morning. And they have the paperwork for the statute for child endangerment and neglect.
Yes, ma'am.
That I can't file against her. But it really, it's against my husband, ex-husband, because he would dump them on her. But then when my son was in her custody, in her care every other weekend.
Now, what are you saying you can't get served on her? One of these?
I've never even heard of this. I wanted a restraining order to keep them all away from me.
Right. Which is what this is. This is a no contact order.
Well, why wouldn't they let me file that on Monday morning?
I'm not certain.
This is all right. Okay, I know what it is.
There's a
The
difference.
difference is that she's an attorney, and I went there myself on Monday morning as soon as the courthouse was open, and they said, the ladies in the civil court said that I couldn't because it wasn't stalking, domestic violence, or sexual assault. So they told me I couldn't file this. And then I said, well, what recourse do I have? And I went downstairs and talked to Charles Newton. So, because she's an attorney, she realized.
What kind of behavior did you explain to them that was occurring? I
explained to them how the ex-husband is dumping our son on them every other weekend.
Right.
And busy with plans with his girlfriend. And,
If you
Yes.
read this, the handwritten stuff on her,
this
this is what she's claiming.
this doesn't involve her. That's my ex-husband.
Right.
Which I sent him a million nasty texts after I found our son, because he had no idea that our son was smoking, because he dumped him with his family, and it's their son that instigated all this. I really don't think my son is smart enough to have gotten into. I know he wouldn't have been the one to do it. Their son was the one that started it, and plus I have the videotape of what my son said was their friend that sent a videotape of them smoking the bomb to all of them. I've got that on my son's cell phone. I haven't had any contact with her. I said, do not. You tell the Gannets to stay away from my son and tell them that I'm going to restrain them.
1 second. So it's a cop that came to serve a restraining order by the other family, Liam's parents.
So,
And I
Ben,
did.
this,
So yesterday, was it Monday? Since I had my son's cell phone, I've gone through all of his messages, all of his Facebook, Twitter, all of it. And I left a message for her son, stay away from my son. I don't want you to have any contact with him. I did leave that message. Because I didn't have her number. I had no way to contact her, and I would have contacted her, tell her to stay away from us. Want nothing to do with him. Don't want her son to have anything to do with my son, and they've been best friends for about 3 years, and this has probably been going on for that long, or longer. So the bitch just beat me to it. And I can't believe the court told me that I couldn't do this on my.
well, and I don't know why, I cannot speak on their behalf.
Because they said it wasn't domestic violence, and it
Right,
involved,
there's a different protective order for domestic violence.
but they said that I didn't have any grounds based on what
And if it's something, it doesn't necessarily have to be sexual contact, so don't look at that last, it doesn't have to be that,
but they told me it had to be
stalking
domestic
or,
violence, sexual assault, or stalking. And I hate stalking. This is insane. This is her, covering up for her son who's and the other police officers that came Friday night and went over to their house and tried to have a conversation with them, they said, well, now we know weeds coming in and out of the house. Are y'all still gonna be watching their house? Because that's where the problem is, not here. It's not here. You search my house, you get a sniffer dog in here. It's over there. And so this is her way of covering it up, so. But I would have done this. I went there Monday morning and was there and had this conversation.
this was done today.
Well, I went to do that Monday because this happened on Friday night.
Well, like I said, man, I apologize for coming so late. I tried to get here earlier with the call volume we had, we just couldn't get up here.
What usually happens in this case? I'm not a criminal. I have no criminal record.
This is strictly civil.
She has a DWI. She lost her license, and my ex that she drinks with, had a DWI 2 years ago. It finally made it to court in the spring. He spent a week in jail. He's now a convicted felon and lost his license for 4 years. I don't want to have anything to do with these people. I don't want my son to have anything to do with his dad, who's a convicted felon, but I have no, I cannot do, apparently I cannot do anything about it except charge him with, child neglect and, endangerment. I'm not like these people. I don't want anything to do with these people. This is vindictiveness on her part. I hope the judge can see that.
Well, I'm not here to judge anybody, and I'm just basically a process server right now.
So, am I gonna have a criminal record because she's brought this against me? Am I gonna have anything filed against me? Because I'm actually,
This is strictly civil.
so the judge is gonna say, you have to pay a fine or slap my hand or what?
No, ma'am, you'll go in front of the court, you're the judge on the situation.
I wanted to say yes, Melissa, stay away from it. I'm gonna say, fine, I want nothing to do with it. Is that all that will happen?
Basically, yes, ma'am.
Great, perfect. But that means that she would have to stay away from me too. And her entire family?
If that's what, and you might want to bring it up in front of the judge, that you wish that to happen on the reverse side. And he may judge that in open court.
Okay.
And they will.
Without me filing the paperwork.
Or they may require you to do that, so that there is documentation. But he may do that if you request that.
Right, I'm sorry to grill you like this,
No.
but I don't get served papers. I don't want anything to do with these people. I don't. And is it true that you guys can keep an eye on the house? Because the two officers that were here, Friday night said, from their behavior, when they went over there to have a conversation with the two parents and they knew they were there, they wouldn't even come to the door with the lights on. Well, we can keep an eye on the house. Is that true? Do y'all have the ability to do that?
We do, but if they're on Oak Island, that's their jurisdiction. I'm going to share.
I didn't realize that.
So, yes. If it got, out of their hands, they requested us to help them out, whatever we more likely to do that.
But you really can't do anything when they're underage, because their kid is 14. He's been doing this for at least a year, probably longer than that.
It's Brunswick County. It's not surprising. Period.
I know. And then I talked to some other kids that were getting on the bus the other day, and I was like, do y'all know Liam Gannon? Yeah, we know Liam. Do y'all know that he smokes? Well, yeah, we know about it. And these were 8 to 10-year-old kids. I was just asking because I guess I've been a mother with my head stuck in the sand. I just did a picture of my son because he's a good student, a good athlete. And I did a picture of their son. He goes to, he's been at South Brunswick Middle and so he's a sophomore at South Brunswick High School. I put a picture of their family. I mean, I know she had her DWI and I can't stand them because she thinks my ex-husband's great and now he's a convicted felon. I don't like any of that kind of situation, but I didn't think that her son would be smoking and would be the supplier on the island. The videotape that I can take to court is, the kid is very skilled at putting weed in the bong, passing it around, and then blowing out the bedroom window.
Sorry, just the phrasing of that was
So,
funny.
I mean, I went up there, pulled in the driveway, I was furious. Because I believed in my son, and the cops, when they talked to me, they had him in tears, and they believed that he was being honest about where he got the weed. And that was their reaction. If it had been the other way around, the cop showed up at my door and said, kid says, I would have said, oh my God, your ass is grass. Come on in, I need to know the details. But and she told me years ago, we used to hang out, they smoked, and my ex-husband smokes and obviously drinks, and, I'm very upset that they corrupted my son.
I understand.
And after they do this order, it gets moved to her, because we're adults, we're supposed to be adults. It won't apply to our children, will it? So after this order, it would just be between she and I, but I want it to be our sons staying apart. Even though they've been best friends, they have been best friends. But it's because they share this.
And there may be something, in court that the judge can rule on as far as family wise. I'm not certain. And then maybe, with the age, and if he does allow, the video, maybe something that juvenile services called it open court over.
She told me about her DWI, and she said, well, I think the bartender watched me walk out and get in the car. It wasn't even when I screwed up. I'm a mom and I'm an attorney. And then when the school they sent the calls out to the parents that some kid had weed and had hidden in the woods behind the middle school, high school. She said, well, he was Snapchatting or something. And he told his friend Snapchatting exactly where he was, and he was out there with the weed. She said, what a dumb child. The least he could have done was to throw the weed away instead of telling all his friends that he had in the woods. So there's total oblivion here, accepting any kind of responsibility. I hope the judge will be smart enough to see this. And she's not a criminal lawyer, she's a patent lawyer. And I would have already done this paperwork to keep all kind of drama away from me. I don't want their shit around. And I kind of resent the fact that the civil court ladies told me I couldn't do this on Monday.
Like I said, I don't know, I wasn't there, and I can't speak on their behalf.
Do I need to sign something for you?
No,
Okay, I'm sorry, I told you you're off.
you're fine, you're fine. I apologize again for coming out so late.
And,
I tried to get her early.
yeah, it's been a bad day being sick and having to put up with this and crap, but I'm going to bed, and I hope you have a very easy evening.
Thank you.
I'm sorry you had to walk up in the dark. I will turn the light on before you go.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah. Somewhere, I don't know.
It's bizarre. He comes in and out, so he may have slipped out when you went out. He just comes back to the door and he's ready to go, so you don't worry about it. Just gently go out the driveway, just take things. All right, have a good evening. Bitch. Simply because she's an attorney. And I try to do this to her.
Is that where you're going Monday?
Yeah. That's what I went on Monday, got up and went straight to the courthouse, and then they told me I couldn't do this. I have to decide, because Rye was a shit when I came home, and I'm sick, and I worked 10 hours, and then I came home, he's a shit, and so I kicked him out of the house. I don't want this in my life anymore. I don't. But his dad's a shit, a neglectful shit, and all he'll do, if Rye starts living with them, is have him back over at their house, because he really doesn't want Rye, because it would interrupt his time with his girlfriend. But these are vindictive. These are obviously vindictive people, because they know their son is guilty. Well, I don't need this shit. I really don't. I think I'm just gonna let Rye. I should just say fuck. fuck it. Let him do drugs, let him drop out of high school like his dad, let him not have an opportunity for college, let him get some girl pregnant, let him do all kind of drugs. I shouldn't really care.
Probably shouldn't go that far.
I'm sick of it. I've been the only parent. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of being, it's hard. It is hard when you have a guy who is clearly not a good person. He's a convicted felon. He was a DWI with his girlfriend who was drunk. They pulled out in front of an old man. He had to have surgeries. They could have killed him. And his response was, I need to tell you that I totaled my truck. I've been charged with a DWI, but luckily no one was injured. And I've only lost my license for 10 days. Well, it turns out that he did injure someone, and he lost his license for 30 days initially before court. So everything is just flippant and dismissed from them. They don't take no personal responsibility whatsoever. And I'm just gonna say, fuck it, and I can be a product of them. I'm tired. I'm tired of trying to be the only parent. I am. I don't care anymore. Good night.
Night.
Why did she come to you to complain about that? She's like, I'm just so tired of trying to be the only parent. You just fucking run out of room.
Yeah.
You're not a damn counselor.
Felon.
I'm the most powerful.
Just fucking just let
Somebody
him drop
once
out of
told
high
me
school.
that if I spend some money, that I can get high by smoking weed. But my mommy's off a
let him do
rocker,
drugs,
and
drop
now
out of
I
high
can't
school,
play
and-
soccer.
He's ruined his chances at college to get some girl pregnant, have kids, I'm
DWI.
gonna be a grandma, God forbid.
Why is it every time this shit? This is like the best meme.
Yeah.
It keeps going.
You guys be angry
God,
if
I
you
love
can
me
hear
some
me
drama.
eating chips in the background, maybe a
Hell
little
no.
bit.
No.
Better.
There's a new meme. They're all happy.
Yo, can somebody find my fucking "Hey now you're an all-star, but hey now you're a soccer star" post? Because I just started saying it randomly.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Oh, soccer tendency.
Bitch.
It's JoJo's Bizarre Stash. Soccer
couldn't-
tendency.
I couldn't avoid laughing whenever she's like, he packs the bong real good.
Stash Dust Crusaders.
James's bizarre event.
Fucking put the
All
weed in
that
the bong and
glitters is
pass around the
wrong.
bong.
Hey, buddy, pass me the bong.
That's
Somebody once told me your mom is such a dumb slut.
No, I already had it.
That's
had it.
not my
Somebody
mom.
once told me that if I make some money, I can spend it all getting high. But my mommy's off a rocker, so now I can't play soccer.
My door was
I
knocked
gotta
down.
keep finding it.
Hey
Over the
now,
door.
you're a
But my
mean
mommy-
star.
and now I can't play soccer. And she already told my teachers. Well, the charges pile up and they don't stop coming. Didn't take all my weed and I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to pay for bail. I'll make that fucker spend a week in jail. So much to do, so much to text. So what's wrong with taking it to the next? You never know if you're not high. Yo, boy, this boy is the whole supply. Hey, now,
The whole
soccer,
supply. She's
your mom's
interviewing kids on the
soccer.
bus. She's like fucking
Hey,
interrogating.
now,
Like, where'd you
here's a
get
court
it?
case. Child endangerment in your face.
That was the weirdest
All that
thing.
glitters is wrong.
I was talking to these 8-year-olds.
Yeah, I was talking to these 8-year-olds asking where they buy their weed. They all told
Grabs
me it
them
was
by the
100% him.
No, it's like Batman. She pins him against the wall and starts beating the shit out of him.
Where is it?
Where is it?
Where's Liam?
I gotta go to the source. Where's the weed?
Who's your supplier?
Little hood
The
at.
bus driver's like, what the fuck is this lady
And
doing?
then Liam comes out and he's like, I was surprised. I wonder.
I like how the
why
bus
it
driver's
went
still like just kind of annoyed by it.
I was
He's just like,
born in
what
the
the fuck are you doing back there?
raised by the weed.
I wonder what would break first.
And as that happens,
Beating the shit out of the kids.
and as Liam walks down the stairs of the bus, he assumes his final form.
Born into it.
Scary drugs.
You know, during your
guys should
first,
be
you know,
afraid.
during your first day of school, when your mom like kisses you before you go to the bus. Nah, fucking Rye's mom starts interrogating the other kids on the bus. You think your mom's
Oh,
bad?
it's right, Mom.
God.
It's
damn.
not mine. Mine is much different. It's Rise.
Dude.
No, it's Rise mom. Liam's mom had
Hey,
Rise
everyone,
mom served with papers.
Everyone repost.
It's so fucked.
Pray for Liam, dude.
Yes, I wondered which would break first, you know. Or the soccer career.
Oh my god.
Oh, I need to ship these names.
Dude, the saga continues, dude. Fucking
A tale old as time.
Never fucking
Sono
ends.
Chino Sadame.
never ends.
Stalker.
Man, Liam, dude, he's in for it. His
Sucks,
dad's a
dog.
convicted felon.
Star Plat. Oh my
No,
god. Sonic
no, no.
Star
That's-
Platinum.
Wrong person.
Yeah, I know. We just call him Liam for this stuff. Well, it's episode 2 in the fucking Liam saga.
Wait, did you
Discord
record
out.
that?
Child